almost said happy Friday. Happy Thursday. How about that? How about that? How are we doing out there?
Wiggle. Waiting to see who shows up here today. So, how are we doing out there, you guys? There's Anita. Hi, Anita. So glad you're here. Wouldn't be the same without you. Wouldn't be the same without any of you guys. It's always good to see you guys. And I'm having a day, so I need my people, right? I need my people because I'm having a day. Oh, honestly, this has just been a very difficult, a very long week, you guys. And you ever just like, I don't know. I don't even have words for it. I'm just tired. I'm just tired, and I've just been through it this week, and I'm looking forward to the weekend. So I'm glad that I get to come and think about other things with you guys, right? I don't have to think about regular life while I'm here. Oh, so how's everybody's week been going? It is a busy, busy day for me today. I have got, hey Chris, how are you? Hi Danielle. I've got a busy day today, guys. I've got a class for you guys. Well, I say class, you know, we've got a project. We're going to do a project. And then the Jewel Loom January workshop is tonight at 7 p.m. Eastern time. It's hard because Jules is like over in California. I'm way over here on the East Coast and she's way over there on the West Coast. And so it's really hard for us to like fix the times. It always trips me up no matter how many times I tell myself that like I have it figured out. It never fails that I screw up the time somehow. But it is 7 p.m. tonight. So those of you who purchased the January workshop kit over on Jewel Loom, tonight is the night. And yesterday I spent the most part of yesterday afternoon actually putting together the step outs for that. So it's going to be a fun class, and I've kind of condensed it down so that it's not going to take forever because it's a long project. It's a pendant and earrings, and so I felt like I really did kind of need to shorten it up a bit. So for those of you who are coming to participate in that tonight, it's at 7, not 4. Yeah, that's right. Joan, it's at 7. See, Joan's having trouble too. Joan's going to be a moderator on the class tonight. So see, I'm not the only one. I'm not the only one. But yeah, I have no idea what I was even saying. Oh, just that if you're coming tonight, it's going to be a fun one. We're going to have a good time. And hopefully just the first of many. So yay. Hi, Melanie. You guys, can you tell I'm tired? On Tuesday, was it Tuesday? Yeah, on Tuesday, everybody was like, oh my gosh, she's had way too much caffeine because I was talking really, really fast. And honestly, the Tiara Cast people were watching, and I was like trying to get to the project. And so I was kind of speeding through things at the beginning. But yes, I realized I sounded like I was a live wire. See where that name just fits us so perfectly? Oh, goodness. Yeah, but I'm tired today. I think you can probably tell. I'm worn out. It's been a long week and it's not even over yet. Guys, oh, speaking of which, so I have the class tonight with Jewel Loom. There's another Michael's class coming up on Saturday. So if you have not signed up for my virtual class for Michael's, come and do that. It's 2 p.m. on Saturday. That's Eastern time, 2 p.m. Eastern time. And we are putting together just a simple wire wrapped bracelet with some really pretty beads. And all we're doing is we're using some twisted artistic wire, which just gives the design a little extra something. And it's not a hard one, just some wrapped loops, right? But come and hang out with us. I love it when you guys are there. It makes me feel more relaxed to have familiar faces there. So for those of you who came to my last Michael's virtual class, I appreciate that. You have no idea how good it makes me feel to have like my family. You guys are my family. To have my family there with me, it makes me more relaxed. So come hang out, even if it's a project that you know, you don't like or whatever. I don't know. I like a lot of things people don't like. It's okay. It's okay. We all like different things. But come and hang out. Come hang out for the class. It's a little bit different than Facebook Live. I don't get to interact with you guys, but I do know that you're there, and I do get to see your little faces if you've got your if you have your your camera on. So it makes me feel so good. I love it. I love you guys so, so much. All right, so let's talk. Speaking of love, let's talk about that, right? Let's talk about Valentine's Day, which, you guys, is a month away. And so I thought, with the help of some friends, my friend Kathy, I was like, Kathy, what should I make? She was like, well, Valentine's Day is coming up. You haven't made a Valentine's Day project. And honestly, there's a reason why I don't normally make Valentine's Day projects unless I'm working for somebody that insists that I do. I'm not a Valentine's Day kind of person. It's okay. It's great. Whatever. I sound super enthusiastic, don't I? It's great. Whatever. Valentine's Day. No, it's just that I can't ever think of a Valentine's Day project that I've done that I've ever been super excited about. And I think that's what it is. I've never just like made a great piece for Valentine's Day that I've been like, ooh, I can't wait to make another cool project next year. It may be different this year because I came up with a project that originally was going to be earrings, you guys. And it ended up turning into a pendant. So that being said, just like always, earrings, pendants are very much interchangeable. If you want to make a second one of these, they are going to make really cool earrings. They are on the large side. That's why I was like, maybe I should just make this into a pendant instead. Super pretty, right? Super pretty. And because it's Throwback Thursday, here on Sarah Ellis Designs on Throwback Thursday, I try to revive, or the goal for Throwback Thursdays is to revive old projects from the past. But I thought, that's kind of, like, that kind of puts me in a little bit of a box. And you guys know how I feel about being in a box. I don't like it when people put me in a box. Oh, it's been a week. Anyway, I don't even know what I was going to say. That just totally took over my whole brain. What was I saying? I don't know. I lost it. It's gone. Nicole says I don't celebrate Valentine's Day. I don't either. We don't need no stinking hearts. No, but we've got this guy, right? Oh, I know what I was saying. I'm sorry, you guys. I seriously need a nap. Throwback Thursday, I was going to revive old projects, but that kind of limit some of the possibilities. So I thought, instead of it being project specific, I did have a mommy moment. I have a lot of those. Instead of it being project specific, I thought maybe it should be more technique specific, because I don't know if you can tell or not, but there's a couple of techniques in here that we've actually done before. So that's what I was thinking, like the little loops here in front of my thumb. I feel like that is definitely a throwback because I've used that in several projects, but it doesn't hurt to revisit those things, right? Because we learn and do so many different things that it's nice to like remind you of something that we did before, right? Also, the little nesting around the wire wrapping, that is also something that we have done before in various projects. So I thought that this would be a good kind of throwback, if you will, right? Oh, I saw that. Pam says I'm making the owl this year. So I take that back. The owl, do you guys remember the owl with the Swarovski crystals and the silver silk? That was a good Valentine's Day project. I need to dig that one up. I think it's been posted in the group. I think Joan has posted it before, but we should post it again just because, it was a good one. It was a good one. And you guys would think that I would be more into Valentine's Day projects because I love red. Like I'm super, super into red. But I'm not a hearts person. And I think that's the rub when it comes to me. I love red, but hearts are something that I struggle designing with. However, let me show you something. I think it has to do with the shape of the hearts. Some of you have this kit. I don't think she has any more of these, but I wanted to show them to you. So you guys know I'm friends with Candy, Miss Candy Cooper, and she puts together these cutie patootie little kits where you can just make like a simple pair of earrings. And she had this kit for these earrings and they had hearts, and it was like, that was the first time I've ever been like, ooh, I gotta have those. So I just wanted to show them to you because you could do something very, very similar on your own. So it's the Swarovski hearts that have that patina on the back of them. I had just now kind of came into those. I just now realized that they exist. I like that. I like that heart, and I like this whole earring design. So that was really kind of like a, oh, hearts are not that bad kind of moment for me. So maybe that's what inspired me for today's project. I don't know. But yeah. So that's what we are doing today. We're going to put together this pendant, and keep that in mind. Like, you can make 2 of these and turn them into earrings if you want to. It just ends up being a little bit big for an earring, but you certainly could make it a little bit, you know, a little bit smaller. Yeah, Candy is a hearts person. I wish that I was more of a hearts person, but I'm just not. I don't really know that there is like a shape. I guess it would be circles. I'm a circle person, I guess. I don't know. Squares. I like squares. 2 totally different things. I don't know. I love all the shapes. We don't discriminate here. Oh gosh. Okay, so enough chitter chatter. Let's get down to business, shall we? Let's do it.
All right. So let me adjust the lights and give the camera a wiggle.
Ryan says cubes. I love cubes. Kathleen says I'm a skull person. I totally am a skull person. And it's funny because over the years, I have grown from like creepy skulls to like more decorative skulls. Like I really do love skulls, but I think I've softened in my aging a bit, right? I'm a skull person, but you know, I only want them to be gnarly and like gross and creepy for Halloween. The rest of the time I like them to be like beautiful, like sugar skulls or colorful skulls, if you will. But yeah. All right. So just giving you a better kind of up close view of this guy so you can kind of figure out where we're going. So the very first thing that we're going to do is we are going to, excuse me, paw prints. Yes, paw prints count. Totally count. So the first thing we're going to do excuse me, my goodness, is create the component, which is just a circle component. We're going to be using the artistic wire mandrel tool to create that. And then we are going to do some wire wrapping on this. And originally I thought that we would do the wire wrapping in just one very long continuous piece of wire. And then I figured, you know what, that just seems a little bit harder for those of you who are just now kind of getting the hang of wire. And there are some of you here that are seasoned veterans when it comes to wire, and I'm so glad that you come and you share your knowledge with us. We also have people who are brand new, and I love that too. I love that my community kind of appeals to everybody. So for those of you who are beginners, I tried to break this down and make this beginner friendly by doing this in sections. So we're actually going to start in the lower section and do the loops first. Then we're going to wire wrap one side, wire wrap the other side, and then do the center here with another piece of wire. And the cool part about this is, for those of you who are beginners, or if you're not a beginner and you're not super comfortable with your wire wrapping, you can do messy. Messy is perfect for this. In fact, I feel like with this project, the messier, the better. Okay. So yeah. And then I just added some chain and some, you know, cause I got to have dangles, added some chain and some bicones at the bottom. You don't have to do that. You can just wire wrap the entire thing with the beads, and it's going to look gorgeous too. So if you're not all about this movement, you can totally skip this bottom part. And that of course would make a beautiful hoop earring, right? If it was just wire wrapped with the crystals all the way around. Also, you don't have to use Swarovski crystals. I was digging through my Swarovski, just kind of taking a look at what I have and what I don't have, because, you know, we're all kind of in hoarding Swarovski mode. But it doesn't have to be Swarovski, okay? You can use whatever kind of beads you want to. And if you're not a heart person, you could put a drop right here, or you could just leave out the center altogether. So that being said, I hope that this project is one that's going to inspire you to at least try these techniques in other designs, right? Okay, so let's get down to business here. I'm going to keep this over here to the side so we can refer back to it if we want to. The very first thing we're going to do is we're going to use the artistic wire mandrel tool. You guys know that I absolutely love this tool. This is a Beadalon product. You can grab this over on the Beadalon website. The last time I checked, they were sold out, but you may want to look again if you don't have one of these. I actually have 2 of these to give away, and I'm thinking I'm going to give one of them away next week. I just haven't figured out how I'm going to do that yet. So if you're interested, Stay tuned. But it's a super handy tool. It's very inexpensive, and the round portion pops off, okay? And it comes with a circle, a triangle, a square, and an oval mandrel attachment for it. And you just pop it right in there and you're ready to go, which makes it super convenient. And it's lightweight. You just toss it in the drawer, and when you need it, grab it. I use it for all kinds of things, for making components, for making curves, just anything. You can even make rings on them if you want to. So if you don't have one of these, I definitely recommend grabbing one. We're going to use some 18 gauge wire to create our component, and you're going to need about 7 inches of this just to be sure that you give yourself plenty of wire. Okay, so I've got 18 gauge German style wire in the silver, and I'm going to make our circle here, not on the bottom, but the next step up. And I've done the measurement several times, and I had them marked. You can see some of them are still there, but because I use this so much, you can tell where the permanent marker has rubbed off. I believe this bottom one is 27.5 millimeters, and the next one up is 25 millimeters. So if you don't have this tool, just find something that is around 25 millimeters to use as a mandrel. Okay, that'll work just as well. Anyway, we're going to take our piece of wire, we're going to place it in the center, hold it down with our thumb, and then we just want to guide the wire around to make our circle shape, right? And I like to push it nice and tight up against the tool, okay, and try to get it as close as possible. The wire does want to spring back on you, so you may not get exactly 25 millimeters, but you're going to get pretty darn close. Okay, now I like to go ahead and do my loop before I take this off of the tool, just because I feel like I can use the tool as my as a little bit more leverage. You can take it off if you want to, but sometimes when you're doing the wire wrapping part, you'll squeeze it into an oval and you'll need to pop it back onto the mandrel. So basically what I'm going to do, you can see I've got my 2 pieces of wire, one's going one way, one's going the other way. I'm just going to take one of them, and you can use your pliers or your finger to bend it out away from the mandrel. Then you want to take the other one, and again, trying to hold everything tight on the tool here. I'm going to use the other piece of wire, right, to wrap around. I'm just going to go all the way around once, and then I'm going to go around a second time. Okay. And then I'm going to take it off, and I'm going to kind of clean it up just a little bit. Okay. And just, it's an 18 gauge wire, so you've still got plenty of movement here to really kind of clean it up and make it the shape that you want it to be. You can tighten up your wire wraps if you need to. Okay, and you can see it's not a perfectly perfect circle like right up here at the top, but that's okay, because once you start wire wrapping it and placing the beads on it, you're never going to even notice that. If it drives you crazy though, trim off your tail and then put it back on the mandrel, shape it up a little bit more. You can even whack on it while it's on the mandrel with your nylon hammer if you want to, to really kind of get that shape back. But for the most part, it's a circle, and I'm gonna call it done. Right? I'm gonna call it done. I am, however, going to bring my block in. Now, I didn't add this in the materials list just because it kind of slipped my mind. It's not super necessary, but I feel like it is a good idea just because we're going to be holding this in our hands and getting the wire warmed up while we're wire wrapping around it to work harden it just a little bit. So I'm going to put this on the steel block. I'm going to use my nylon hammer, and I'm just going to tap around the edge. To work hard now. I'm going to do both sides. Okay, that should be plenty. The 18 gauge wire is pretty sturdy. You just want to give it a little extra reassurance. Okay, now as far as the tail here is concerned, I'm going to leave it for now. And that's just because it's going to give me a little bit something extra to hold on to. You can go ahead and do a loop if you want to. For the pendant, all I did was just create a simple loop. It looks like a wrapped loop because the wraps are underneath it, but really it's just a simple loop, okay? And I made it big enough so that my chain could go through it, so just take in consideration like whatever you want to hang this from. But I'm gonna hold that and do that at the end so that I've got a little something that I can hold on to, okay? All right, now the first thing I'm gonna do is the little loops here on the bottom, okay? This is going to be a little like a 6-inch section of 24 gauge wire just for these 3 loops, and then we'll work on the other sides, okay? So grab yourself a little piece of 24 gauge wire, using the German style wire again for this, and it doesn't take very much, okay? This is a long piece. You probably only need maybe half of this, and I like to straighten mine out as much as I possibly can here in the beginning. And I'm going to use my stepped, excuse me guys. I'm going to use the stepped bell making pliers for this. I'm going to use the smallest mandrel. However, you use your round nose pliers for this. You can use your memory wire finishing pliers for this. Your regular bell making pliers, the small set, just anything that's going to give you a small loop. I don't want a big loop, okay? So the tip of your round nose pliers is going to work just as well. Just keep in mind that they're tapered, and try to make each loop in the exact same spot so that they're all the same, okay? But that's why I'm going to use this, because they're not. All right, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to anchor this wire. I'm coming down here towards the bottom. Okay, I'm just going to give myself a little bit of a tail and use that tail to wrap around about 3 or 4 times. Okay. And if yours are not straight up and down, you know, and they're not nice and lined up, you can always come in with your pliers and just squeeze them into shape and make them do what you want them to do. The 24 gauge wire is very forgiving, okay, so you shouldn't have any problems with that at all. I'm going to leave the tail. I'll trim it off here in a few minutes, but for the most part, I'm ready to go making the 3 little loops. And what I want is I want to continue the path of the wire. So the way that I'm holding this, the wire is coming from behind the component, right? So when I place this on the tool here, hold on, I'm going to move you guys up just a little bit. Here we go. Okay. So when I place my component on the tool, okay, I want to use that 24 gauge wire. Goodness gracious, if I could hold on to it, that'd be great. I want to hold on to the wire, and I want to continue the path, the natural path of the wire. So I'm going to guide it around the mandrel, right, to make the loop. Okay, you can see how I guided that around the mandrel, but I was coming from the back, so now I'm going over the top to do my wire wraps. I'm going to do 3 wire wraps in between here, and I just want to be sure that I'm following the natural path of the wire. Okay, that's really the point that I was trying to make here. So I'm holding on, I've guided that wire around that mandrel, and now I'm ready to wrap around. Okay, and I'm going to go ahead and take this off so you can see how I made that little arch shape, and you can kind of squeeze it together a little bit, right? Hold on to it with your fingers and go ahead and wrap around. You want 3 good wire wraps, okay, in between there. And if you move it out of its shape, which you very easily can do, you can always put it back. Might help to use these. You can always put it back on the pliers to pop it back into that shape. The 24 gauge wire it's super flexible, which is a good thing, but it can also kind of, if you're not careful, you can very easily bend it out of shape. But once we get it where we want it, we'll be good to go. We don't have to worry about it so much anymore. But here in the beginning, when you're like squishing it with your fingers, it's going to come out of shape, okay? All right, so we need to do 2 more of those. So again, I'm going to place the component into the tool, okay, and following the path of the wire, so the wire is coming from behind the component, okay, so I want to guide it around, right, around, just like so. And now I'm going through the center. So I'm wrapping to the front of the component because that wire originally was coming from the back. So just follow the same path of the wire. You can leave it on the tool while you do the wrapping if you want to. Sometimes it helps to do it that way because it gives you, you got a little bit more room, right? You just want to wrap around 3 times. Take that off of there and you can give it a look, okay? Also, you can still kind of wiggle this back and forth on the wire, okay? And that's okay. We eventually are going to center it up so that our center loop is going to be right in the center of the bottom of our component. But right now, if it's still kind of off to the side a little bit, that's okay. Okay. Now, I'm going to place it right next to where we stopped. Okay. Using the small mandrel, guide the wire just along the side of that. And you can see all I'm doing is I'm just using the shape of that mandrel to guide the wire, right? And you can use this technique in so many ways. Anywhere you need a loop, you can do this, and you can do it with whatever. That's why I like the stepped bell making pliers, because you can make your loops whatever size you want them to be, okay? You can fill the whole thing up with loops if you wanted to. It makes a really pretty design. Okay, so there, when I take it off of the tool, that's what we've got. We've got 3 little loops, right? And they may not be exactly the same, but they're pretty darn close, right? Pretty darn close. And I'm going to give 1 more wire wrap on each side, just so that I've got 4. And then I'm going to trim off. So there's that one. Back over here to where we started. Okay, there's 4 for that one, and I'm going to go ahead and trim that off. You can do this on circle components. You can do this on any kind of component. You can do it on straight pieces of wire. It's just a handy little thing to have, in your arsenal of like techniques, because sometimes a jump ring's not going to be the answer when it comes to attaching things. Sometimes you're going to need to go in there with your own wire and create what you need, right? Also, it's worth saying that you can do this part on the wire while the wire is straight before you put it onto the component to shape it. The only issue with that is that your loops are going to be in the center of the wire, so you have to, instead of placing your thumb in the middle of the wire to anchor it to the mandrel tool, you got to put your fingers like to the sides instead, right? So you don't squish these guys when you're making your circular shape. But it's one of those things that you can do as an afterthought or beforehand, right? So if you figure you're going to need loops, you can go ahead and do them before you shape your wire, or after you've shaped your wire and you're like, ooh, I need loops, then you can do it then, right? Which is handy. It's just a cool technique that I like to have. I like to use it as much as is needed. So there we've got 3 loops here on the bottom. We're going to hang some chain from that and some of our little dangles. But first we want to do some wire wrapping on either side. We're going to break this down into 2 sections. So we're going to do the right side first, and then we'll do the left side. Okay. I am going to be using some 4mm bicones for this. And I'm going to do 5 bicones on each side. You don't have to use bicones. Round beads works just as well. Cubes will work with this. You can use whatever you want to, but 4mm is probably the size that you're going to want to stick with this, just because our loop is only about 25mm. So if you do great big beads, it's really going to kind of take away from the shape. Okay, so I would stick to like the 3-4mm range with the beads. I'm also going to be using another piece of 24 gauge wire for this. I've got about 18 inches of this. It's probably a little bit much, but I would rather have too much than not enough, because remember, not only are we going to be wire wrapping these beads to the component, but we're also going to nest around them. So that does take a little bit more wire to do if you're going to do the nesting around them. Okay. So we're going to start out exactly the same way that we did when we were making our loops. I'm just going to place the wire across the top of the component here, give myself a little bit of a tail. You only need about 1.5 inches or so. And I'm going to use that tail to wrap around the component about 3 or 4 times just to anchor the wire. And you can see I'm over here to the side. That's okay, because I can slide this right on up. Okay. So I'm going to wrap around about 4 times. My wire wraps are really far apart. I'm going to squeeze those together with my pliers. Okay, I'm going to slide that right on up here as close to our wraps here as possible. Okay, And now I'm ready to use my tail as my working, this really long tail as the working wire. I'm going to take that short tail and just kind of tuck it back here to the back. I'm not ready to trim it off yet. I'm going to hold on to it. Again, more leverage, the better. Don't put yourself in a bind where your wire is going to spin around on your component. If you've got an anchor piece to hold on to, it's not going to spin around and around and around, and you'll end up really, really frustrated with it. So that's why I like to leave my tails and trim them at the ends. So I'm going to thread on one of my 4mm bicones. Okay, and I'm going to drop that down. Now, a lot of times when we wire wrap two components, we will wire wrap on the outer edge. And you can do that with this one if you want to. You can wrap around on the outer edge, but I thought it would be cool to change it up just a little bit. And instead of wire wrapping to the outer edge, to kind of wire wrap it to the actual top of the component. So I've bent the wire and placed it so that the bead is actually sitting on the top instead of the outer edge. Okay, and again, following the path of the wire, going to the inside of the component, and I'm going to wrap around twice. Okay, wrapping around the component 2 times. Okay, now I'm going to wrap around the bead itself. I love that. You need the anchor. Ask me how I know. That's kind of how I feel about everything. I'm like, you have to trust me. Ask me how I know. Just trust me. Just trust me. Okay, now I'm going to take the wire before I add another bead, and I'm going to guide it around the outer edge of this bicone. I'm going to go around once. I'm going to go around twice, just because it's pretty and I can. See how it makes a pretty little nest. Okay. You don't have to do that part. And if you want to, you can go around more than twice if you want to, but just give yourself more wire. Okay. Just realize it does take a little bit more wire to do the little nesting things. So you're going to need more than 18 inches if you want to go around them a couple more times. Okay. Now I'm going to hold that bead, take the wire, wrap around the component another 2 times. Okay. Now I'm ready to add another bicone. Kathleen says, Joan's wonderful for making the list and giving the links. Actually, I make the list. Guys, the list is there. Joan just finds the links, which is not just, it's not she just does that. Like, that's a chore. So, you know, I appreciate her so much for doing that. But guys, the lists for materials are always under the event. So when I make a Facebook event and I post the event, if you'll click on the about info, it'll give you the materials list if you want to gather up your supplies ahead of time. Joan says I'm great at copying and pasting. It's more than that, Joan. Come on now. It's not a fun thing to do. Sarah and Joan make a great team. Hey, I got to tell you, my team is more than just me and Joan. Yeah, Joan is awesome, but my team actually is me and Joan and Kathleen and Kathy and Ginger and Jane. I have a wonderful support group. I really, really do. And I cannot apparently talk and rap at the same time, which I should be doing, but I can't thank them enough. I mean, you guys just don't know how much support, how much they have put up with my whining over the years, how they have listened to me complain, and also been such an amazing boost, you know, to keep me sane. I love them very, very much. Kathy says pom-poms are needed. They are an awesome team. They really are. Everybody needs a little team like that. I wouldn't trade them for the world. Okay, so there's our next bead. And of course, yeah, you do whine back, Kathy. No, you don't. Kathy's not a whiner. Not a whiner at all. That's funny. So I've placed that other bead on here and wrapped around. Now I'm going to take my wire again. And I'm going to go around the bead. Okay, I'm going once, and then I'm going to go twice. And if it helps to move the component, right, instead of the wire, do it that way, right? Whatever works for you. So I go around the bead twice, come up back around to the component. I'm going to wrap around 2 more times. I couldn't do what I do without them. That's all I'm saying. I mean, I guess I could, but it'd be so lonely. And I don't know that I would have nearly the courage that I have that they give me, you know. They give me the courage to make big moves, you know, and the reassurance that if I fall, they're there to catch me. So I love them very, very much. All right, so there's 2. We're going to add 3 more. Okay. And I'm kind of bending that wire because you want to put that bead where you want it before you really secure it in place. Okay. Put it where you want it first before you do the wire wrapping. That 24 gauge wire is very bendy, so you can put that bead anywhere. Okay, then wrap around just to anchor it. So give yourself about 2 good wire wraps. Be sure you anchor before you do the little nest, because if you don't, the wires or the bead is going to travel, you know, and you don't want that bead to travel. Okay, and then again, I'm going to go around the bead 2 times to make the little nest. And it is a little bit easier just to turn the entire component. Okay, so there you go. There's that. And now back up here, I'm gonna wire wrap 2 more times. Okay. Ringing the bell. All right, I'm ready to add another bead. Can you use memory wire? Yes. Yes. Oh, I know. I love Wanda too. It would just not be Facebook Live without Wanda. Can I just say that? There are so many of you that I feel that way about. Wanda's silliness just keeps me going. Like, her sense of humor is just, it's my kind of sense of humor. All right, there's another bead, placing it right on the component. Put it where you want it before you lock it into place, okay? Around twice. And really, when I say around twice, it's more like a time and a half around, but who's counting? You know what I mean? Like, it's okay. If you do an extra, or if you do 1 too short, you know, if you only do 1, it's okay. Just make sure that you do go around at least once or twice, you know, just to really make sure that that bead's not going to travel when you're trying to build the little nest around it, because that is really frustrating to have to chase your bead. Then it ends up in your nest is really wide and not up close to the bead. So, all right, now wrapping around again. We've got just enough room here, you can see, for 1 more bead. So bring that wire up here to the top. Pop that down. Okay. Now, the next wire wraps that you make may cover these wire wraps that you started with. That's okay. That's okay. No problem. And especially if you're doing messy wire wraps, then it really is just going to kind of make sense to go over the tops of those. So keep that in mind too. Like, I don't know if you would consider my wraps around messy or not, but I definitely could do messier. But I think that this would look super cool with like some crazy funky messy wire. Also, I feel like twisted artistic wire would look really pretty on this as well. All right, so I've gone around that bead 2 times. I'm going to finish off my wire wraps over the top of these wire wraps right here next to our little loops. And that is exactly what I want. Okay, so we finished. We have gone all the way down one side. We're going to go all the way down the other side. Okay, now I will go ahead up here at the top, undo my little tail. If there's room, you can wire wrap around with it another time or 2 if you've got room. If not, just go ahead and cut it off, because you don't need it. You're going to make another tail for the other side. Okay. And trying to trim it as close as possible can be difficult. But look how pretty that looks. Even if you only did one side, that's so pretty. I don't know what it is, but a little bicone or just a little 4 millimeter bead with some wire wrap nest around it is just the prettiest thing. And I know we're doing red for Valentine's Day, but could you imagine instead of doing red for Valentine's Day, if you were going to do like a Mother's Day piece or a Grandmother's Day piece where each bead was a birthstone color for family? I think that would be so pretty. I really, really like that. Okay, so we've done one side, okay, and we've got our loops. Now we're just going to do the opposite side. Now the opposite side is it's not harder by any means, but in the beginning it's a little tricky because you're actually going the opposite direction. And so it can feel weird. Just be warned, it just feels strange, okay? So I'm gonna go ahead and bring in my 5 bag cones, and I've got another about 18-inch piece of the 24 gauge wire. Okay, and we're going to anchor it exactly the same way. That's okay, Karen. We don't mind if you're late. You're here now. All right, same thing. Okay, we're just going in the opposite direction. So place that wire across the top of the component and and a wrap around. I'm sorry, I'm getting a little tickled because I remember when I very first started my group. And my boss at Beadalon is Yvette. You guys see her on here sometimes. She pops in. She might be here now. I don't know. But when we were talking about me starting my Facebook group, she thought Joan was a stalker. She didn't know Joan was part of my team, and she was like, "Well, that Joan, she posts a lot. Like she's almost creepy fanning over you. She's like a major fangirl." I thought it was so funny because I was like, actually, I asked Joan to do that for me. It just gets me tickled. I think that's so funny because we were talking about everybody, you know. All right, so I've anchored my wire, and we're gonna go ahead and drop our next bead down. And again, it's not hard. It just feels a little different because you're coming from a different direction here. Right? But same steps apply. You just want to place that bead like where you want it to go. Okay? Before you wrap all the way around. And again, I turn the component just to make it a little easier on myself, you know? That tail, that's got to get out of my way there. Okay, so same thing. I'm going to wrap around twice. Okay, and well, a time and a half, whatever you want to call it, right? And then I'm going to go around the bead twice. You guys, I had the weirdest dreams last night, and I have no idea why I'm sharing this with you. I overshare. Like, I have no shame. I had the weirdest dreams about Patrick Mahomes last night. How weird is that? They were not fun. Like, I know what you're thinking. Get your mind out of the gutter. I wish it had been that kind of dream. But no, it was just a really strange, like he had a leg injury and he was in a pool, and I don't know why I was there, but I wasn't complaining. Anyway, it was a weird one. It was a weird one. Okay, so I do want to mention sharing is caring. Yep, it is. I want to mention, you see the two, you see that made somebody grumpy. I'm sorry that I overshared and it made you grumpy. The beads are going in opposite directions is what I'm saying. So you can see the angle that those beads are sitting at. If you are to, where was I his nurse? I wish. I wish. But you can see the beads are going in opposite directions. If you start your wire on, like when I anchored this wire, I laid it across the top of the component, okay? And then wrapped around that way. If you start your wire from the back and wrap around the component, your beads are going to go in the same angle. So instead of them coming at an angle away from each other, they're both going to be going from left to right. Does that make sense? Just keep that in mind because that's really going to kind of change up the way that this looks in the end. So I want mine to go slanting away from each other on either side, but if you want them all to go the same direction, you're going to have to start with that wire wrap on the back. Okay. All right. Now I've got one bead on here. I wrapped around it twice. I'm going to loop around the component 2 more times. Okay, or 1.5 times, whichever. My oversharing made somebody mad. That's okay. That's okay. I would like to say we don't do that here, but you know what? We do. We do that here. All right, I'm gonna thread on another bead. Okay. Lay that right across the top of that component. Put it where you want it before you lock it in place. Oh, goodness. Wrap around once and then back up for the second time. Okay. And now you can kind of let go of the bead and go around. Okay. Okay. All the way around, and then we're ready to add again. So you can see, like, I know I do a lot of talking. We do a lot of chit chat as we go, but if it were not for the talking and me kind of breaking this down into steps for you, you can actually work up this piece pretty quickly. Pretty quickly. Thank you. Just as long as they make mad, I like what you share with us. Yeah, I'm an oversharer, so you just really never know what's going to come out of my mouth. I don't know. Some people just want to make jewelry and don't want to hear about the rest, and that's okay. You can totally just turn the volume off. You can mute me. That's the beautiful part of this, is you can mute me. All right, there's the third bead going around. Okay, 2 times around. All right, I'm going to do the next 2 quickly so we can move on to the next part here, okay? All right, so another bead. I'm telling you, if you have a dream about Patrick Mahomes, I want to hear about it. I'm going to need details, please. Or maybe not. I would probably get really jealous. Oh, gosh. Some of you had to Google him. Yeah, he's the quarterback for my my football team. He's the quarterback for the Chiefs. And yes, I realize he is way too young for me, but this mama isn't broken, okay? That's all I got to say. Oh, goodness. All right, there's that one. We've got one more to go. Yeah, Tina says, listening to you makes learning fun, not used to the seriousness of the Michaels lives yet. I know. So yeah, and that's good. It's, you know, it's kind of a good little reminder for those of you who have signed up for the Michaels classes and maybe you haven't done one with me yet. Of course, I've only done one so far, but it is a bit more serious. I don't get to chit chat. And that's because those videos go and live on the YouTube channel for Michaels. And so it's difficult if you're a YouTube watcher to understand the context of whatever kind of conversations are happening between the person teaching and the class. So that's why it's set up like that. It's hard for me to get used to because I know that you guys are there and I want to chat with you so badly, but they kind of don't want you to. And I understand. It's just a little bit more serious, but that's okay because we've got 3 days a week here where we can be silly, right? We can be silly and have fun. All right, trimming that off. Okay. I've got all the beads on here. I think this one turned out prettier than the first one did, actually. I'm going to bring the other one in here so we can take a look at it. I'm going to go ahead and trim this off because I don't need this tail. Okay, I think that turned out really, really beautifully. And again, you don't have to do the loops here. You could, you could do, there's room for 3 more beads. So you could have gone all the way around with the beads and forgotten this part completely. All right, so let's look. Yeah, I feel like I just feel like I did better with the second one. Right? Tina says her beads are off center. That's okay. Slide them around. Make them do what you want. You know, don't get tripped up on that. And if they are off center, honestly, from a distance, nobody's going to know. Nobody's going to know. Okay, so the next thing I want to do is I want to put in this little piece across the center, okay, with the heart and the bicones. And this part is, I almost didn't add this part, but I thought that it really needed something in the center. And it's super, super easy because we're going to hide the wire wraps and you're not even going to see them. So I'm going to take another short piece. You're probably only going to need like 4 inches, okay? And I'm going to place it between 2 of the beads over here. And it's 2 beads down, okay? I'm going to wrap around like 2 times. You're never even going to see these wire wraps because they're just going to be kind of hidden in that mess of wire underneath there. So I'm going to trim that off. It looks like one just continuous piece. I think that's what's really cool about this is that you can't tell that we've broken this down into 3 sections. It just appears to be one entire long wire wrapped piece of wire, and it's not. I like it when you can cheat like that. Okay, so I've anchored it to one side. Now I'm ready to add my beads. I'm going to add 2 more of the little 4mm bicones, and then I have a heart, a Swarovski heart that is drilled side to side, which I don't even know where this came from. Joan asked me where I got this one. I'm not real sure where this one came from, but it's drilled side to side. A lot of them are drilled through the front, you know, and you just add a jump ring. You can still use that kind. You just want to hang it from, you know, a jump ring instead. And 2 more of the bicones. Okay. And then you can see it's a little bit longer than the component. I'm going to give it a little dip, right? Just the slightest little curve is going to make it all fit, right? So it's not going to be hanging just straight across. And then again, I'm going to take the wire wraps between 2 beads over here, over the wraps that are already there. Nobody is ever going to notice. Wrap it around twice or 3 times if you can get 3 in there, and then come to the back, trim it off. Ta-da, done. Now, that was super easy. That was probably the easiest part of the entire thing, right? And that little curve is just the right amount to make it center up. Okay. All right. So last but not least is we've got some pieces of chain here. I'm going to do this pretty quickly because I feel like this part is just kind of redundant. But I've got pieces of chain that are about 1.5 inches long. I've got 6 of them. They're all the same size. You can do this tiered if you want to. You don't have to make them all the same length. You can change it up. Okay. I'm going to take a 4mm jump ring and open up 4mm jump ring. I'm going to thread on 2 pieces of the chain. So each one of my jump rings is going to contain 2 pieces of the chain. So that just makes it a little bit more full, right? Okay. And then I'm going to hook that to one of the loops that we made, close that back. I'm going to repeat that. And then we're just going to wire wrap some of the bicones and put those on the ends, and we'll be done. We're gonna do the loop on the top here so that we can actually attach this to another piece of chain. But for the most part, that's pretty much it. So just putting those on there. Now that I have 2, I'm like, ooh, maybe I do want this to be earrings. I feel like I would wear it as earrings more than I personally would wear it as a pendant. Just, I don't know, because I'm an earring person, I guess. But it does make a really pretty pendant, that's for sure. All right, so there are our pieces of chain. We've got 6 pieces of chain. You can leave them just like they are, right? You don't have to hang anything from them if you don't want to. It looks pretty just like it is, but we are extra, so we're going to put bicones on the ends of ours, and I'm going to do these super quick, you guys. I'll walk through one slow, and then the rest of them I'm going to kind of speed through because we've got 6. So, and I didn't pre-wrap any of them. All right, just dropping that down. I'm using a ball end head pin for this. Makes no difference. I just thought that ball was just an extra little extra little decorative element, but grabbing the wire where it is exiting the bead, bending, okay, coming in with the round nose pliers, taking the wire up and over the top barrel of the pliers. Now I got to roll those pliers out of the way so I can take that wire over to the other side, and I've got the room here to wire wrap between the loop and the top of the bead, right? And I'm just going to wind those up quick, and then I'm going to trim off at the end. So I'm going to go ahead very quickly and do the others, okay? All right, so tomorrow is Feel Good Friday. I love Feel Good Friday. I think that's probably one of the best ideas. I have a lot of ideas and not all of them are winners, but I feel like Feel Good Friday was a winner. Winner, winner, chicken dinner. Remember, last Feel Good Friday was our very first Feel Good Friday, and we did quick and easy earring designs, and you guys rocked them. You guys have posted 1,000,000 pairs of earrings that you have recreated with what we did on Friday. Oh my gosh, you guys are awesome. Awesome. You guys do amazing work. You really, really do. Your bead choices are gorgeous. Your wire wrapping is gorgeous. You guys are just awesome. And it makes me feel so good to see like you guys, you know, be inspired by something that I did. It's like, wow. It makes me feel like I'm doing a good job, you know? I love it. So for tomorrow's project for Feel Good Friday, I haven't decided what Feel Good Friday is going to be yet. What should we do? I was thinking maybe an easy necklace, but I don't know. I don't know. I feel like we could honestly do Feel Good Friday, and every Friday it could be earrings, that, you know, just because earrings are so fun and easy and there's so many that you could make, but I do want to change it up. I do want to change. Yes, Vicky says, could you wire wrap these directly onto the ends of the chains and not use a jump ring? You absolutely could. And honestly, that was my intention last night, but I was, it was a long day yesterday. And you know, I got to wire wrapping a couple of them and realized I totally forgot to wire wrap them to the chain. So I used jump rings, but yeah, either or is going to be perfect. I'm going to use little 4mm jump rings just to attach them, but if you want them to be extra secure, just wire wrap them directly to the bottom link of your chain pieces. Do we have any other questions? I feel like there might have been a couple questions that went by and maybe I missed them. Also wanted to make a note that I have gotten a couple more emails from those of you who have signed up for the email list and you have not gotten the project yet. I'm going to send those. The first thing I got to do after this live is take the dogs out, change the trash, and then I'm going to send you guys that are waiting on the project. So I'll send the file over to you. Just don't want you to think that I'm ignoring you. All right, so 4mm jump ring, hooking that to a wire wrap loop, and I'm just going to attach these each to one end of the chain pieces. And honestly, if you wanted to like go totally extra with this, you could, watch me make a huge mess out of my chain. You could fill up the chain with even more beads, right? Or you could do a beaded chain instead of just adding them, you know, on jump rings and then attaching them to the chain. So you could get crazy with this if you wanted. It's hard for me to not go overboard with dangles. And so of course my first thought is, yes, let's add more beads to this and more dangles and more, just put more. But I stopped myself because I don't want you guys to be like, oh my gosh, what is she doing? So I try to refrain. Yes, you could do this in sports teams colors. You absolutely could. You could make all kinds of things with this design, or at least with the techniques that are here. I like the Mother's Day idea with the birthstones. I think that would be really pretty. But yeah, sports teams, those would be super cool sports earrings. I hope we go, speaking of sports and all things Patrick Mahomes, I hope that we go to the Super Bowl this year. I don't know if you guys remember or not, but last year on Super Bowl Sunday, I was on a plane to Tucson, and I actually had to watch the Super Bowl in the airport. And I was that kid. I'm not a kid, but I was that girl screaming at the TV, like, you know, in between my flights. I'm like, I totally didn't care that I was surrounded by strangers. And everybody that I saw that was in like Chiefs hoodies, like we were fist bumping each other. It was just like, it was a good time, but I really would love to like actually watch the Super Bowl from a couch and not an airport. That would be fantastic. So I hope we make it this year. All right, there we go. And of course my bead, you can see my bead flips around a little bit. When you're wearing it, it's not going to do that because gravity is definitely going to, you know, come into play here and keep it all in the direction that it needs to be. But there is that. So as far as the loop, I'm just going to bend my wire forward because I'm not going to use the jump ring. I'm going to thread this directly. I'm going to thread the chain directly on, you know what I mean? Don't need no stinking jump rings. So I'm going to trim this off and use my round nose pliers to roll back. I'm making kind of a big loop here because I want to be sure that my chain's going to fit through there, right? And this one's already on the chain, but let's switch it out. I don't have any hardware on the end of this, but so there. Ta-da! What do you think? All right, I'm going to turn you guys around and we'll put this on the bust to look at it. And then I'm also going to hold it up as earrings. Okay, so let me turn you around. I'm going to turn around and the microphone a little bit. I hope that worked. Uh-oh, what's Wanda doing? What is Wanda doing? Okay, so I'm going to hold this up on the bust first. So you can see this as a necklace, and then I'm going to hold it up. I'll hold it both of them so you can kind of see them as earrings. It's so pretty. It's so pretty. It's so different. This is definitely not something that I mean, I guess it does. It is in my style, if you will. You know, I'm a wire wrap, dangly kind of person. So I feel like it really is kind of representative of Sarah Ellis Designs. But it's not necessarily something that I would wear, right? But I don't know. I'm starting to feel it a little bit. It looks really pretty. I think it turned out beautifully. I feel like the options with this, there are a lot. So that makes it super cool too, right? So pretty. I like it a lot. Okay, and since I don't have any hardware on it, I'm going to hold it up as earrings. So let me just pull my hair back a little bit. Right, and I'll hold up both of them so you can see. The chain might be a little long for earrings, but you could totally shorten it up. You can make the loops a little smaller too if you wanted to, right? You don't have to make it a 25 millimeter loop. You could make it a quite a bit smaller and just use less beads. But yeah, but I think it turned out really pretty. Very, very pretty, and you can work it up pretty quickly. You know, we took an hour, but we always take an hour. So I feel like that's, you know, that's pretty normal for us. But all right, you are so welcome, you guys. I'm so glad you like it. You never know, you know. It's like when I post the event and I post a picture of something, I'm like, oh, what if they hate it? What if they don't like it at all? That's always it's always a possibility. And that's okay. I get it. Like, you know, not everybody is into the same things. And sometimes I make things that people don't like. And, you know, you just give and take whichever ones you like. So, you know, I definitely could. Jane says I could rock those as earrings. I totally could. And I totally would. I think I probably will. Definitely earrings for me, but it makes a beautiful pendant for somebody else for sure. So whatever you guys do with it, it's going to be amazing. I can't wait to see. So speaking of seeing those things, if you guys are not part of the Sarah Ellis Designs community Facebook group, please come and join our Facebook group. There is so much inspiration that gets posted there on a regular basis. I love to see what you guys do. So please post all your pictures. I don't care if it's something that I showed you how to do or not. Just post your gorgeous pieces, you know? It's so fun to inspire each other and to encourage each other. And that's what our group is all about. Like, we've been so fortunate to not have snarkiness, which I won't allow anyway. Like, if you're going to be snarky, I'm going to show you the door. But we have such a encouraging community that is full of lots of knowledge and lots of inspiration. So come hang out if you're not a part of that group. Also, please sign up for the Sarah Ellis Designs email list if you've not done that yet, so that you will not miss anything. I'm still kind of learning that program, and I'm going to be working on that some more. So I won't spam you, I promise. I respect your time and your inbox, so I won't be sending you a ton of things, but just to keep you kind of updated on things that are going on, because you guys know I've taken on a new adventure this year, and lots of things, right? Lots of things coming. Who knows? Who knows what they might be? Okay, so Joan makes a stand by the door just in case I get snarky, says Wanda. Oh, goodness. You guys are so funny. I love you guys so much. You just don't know. This is definitely the highlight of my day. And something bit me. I don't know. Okay. Randomness. I'm going to let you guys go, but some of you will be seeing me tonight at 7 p.m. Eastern for the workshop over on the Jewel Loom group. That's a private group for those who purchased the January kit. February kit is completely sold out, and March is going to be Jules's big celebration of 8 years of all things Jewel Loom. I don't think she's got that on sale yet, but when she does, I'll let you guys know if you want to come and do that. We are doing several projects. There's going to be several artists involved, and I'm going to be putting together a medallion that you can use as a pendant, you can use on a hat band, you can use as a as a pin. So it's interesting. I'm learning something as I'm creating that project. I'm learning how to make shapes on the Jewel Loom, which is something I've never done before. So you're definitely gonna learn something, that's for sure. As I am. All right, guys, that's it for me. I will see some of you tonight. Otherwise, I will see you guys tomorrow for Feel Good Friday. If you've got suggestions for Feel Good Friday, or if you've got suggestions for any of our Facebook Lives that we do, any of the projects, I can make anything. I have no restrictions. So send me your ideas. I'm always happy to oblige when I can. All right. Have a wonderful, wonderful rest of the day, and I will see you guys tomorrow. Bye, guys.